Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I thought I would clarify something that came up in a live stream for me today. Now obviously this video will come out weeks after that. But someone had said, hey, so-and-so, another YouTuber said that, whatever, 5 to 9 sets can produce 84% of your possible muscle growth. And I kind of laughed and said, look, he can't say objectively that that's an accurate percentage. Right? Could you say that more than half? I think that's a fair statement. That if you did 5 to 9 sets per week, really hard for a muscle group, really hard effective sets, could it produce more than half? Let's say, so therefore the majority of the possible muscle growth you could get. I think that's a fair statement. Now, I'll say for novices, it might be 90 or 100%. More advanced lifters, but that's really who we're talking about, right? Because we're not doing custom programming. If you're a novice, you have no business writing your own program anyways. This is information that you would accumulate for when you finish running the couple of novice programs you're on that are proven and effective, right? You don't deviate from those. And I need to start saying that more often in videos. So those of you who are on novice programs, this is information that will be of use to you next year. Right? Not right now. Just catalog it away. It's useful information. So that kind of begs the question of, well, you said that optimal seems to be somewhere between 10 and 20 sets per week. Yeah, that does appear to be what the majority of the data has said for a long time. Okay? That does appear to be true, and I think that's a fair statement. 10 to 20 effective sets is probably where your sweet spot's going to be, somewhere to get 100% every single last drop of possible muscle growth that you could squeeze out per week. Okay? Every last percent. Meaning that's the range you're chasing when you want 95 to 100% of possible growth. If you choose to exceed that, you're probably going to go down a little because you're probably going to have some recovery issues and it's going to cost you some muscle. Okay? Unless you're just doing junk volume and junk sets because you're not training hard. Now, is there something to be said for that? Can you, in theory, bridge the gap? You can just do half-ass sets. There were actually a lot of people think they are training hard. This has been found in some studies where then they test them. It turns out they could do 5 or 6 more reps sometimes. Like when they think, oh, I'm almost at failure. Yeah. They test them and make them keep going. They crank out 5 or 6 more clean reps. That's happened in a lot of studies. And these are people who just aren't used to training hard. Okay? They're just not used to training hard. Meaning, like some of these curls you're watching me do, I'm attempting to do a final rep and I just can't. Weight doesn't move. You barely notice it on camera, but it does happen. These are actual sets to failure, because that's what failure is. It's not do you strain and cheat and can't grind it out. It's can you maintain the same form and then the weight just stops moving. It just doesn't contract again. It sits at the bottom. Okay, that's failure. All right. People lost track of what that means. But I mean, we're literally talking about when they want them to keep going and they stop 5, 6 reps short of that. So that is a problem. Now, can you to some extent replace that with volume? To some extent, yes. You can just do more sets, and you'll create enough fatigue. The problem is on the recovery side. The problem is recovery side. So let's go back over to the point. Hard sets. What do we mean as a hard set? If you get within 1 rep of failure. Doesn't always mean failure, because trust me, you don't want to train to failure on squats and bench presses. This is not a wise idea. It's just not. Especially if you're just working on safety arms, you still get pinned on every set. That sucks. Right? We're not trying to get pinned on every set. No, those it's better to take 1 rep in reserve. Right? That you could maybe squeeze out 1 more if you had to. If you're willing to grind it. But we don't have to do that. So let's say either failure or 1 rep away. Let's define that as a quality set. Do you need 10 sets to get the majority of the muscle growth? Majority meaning more than half. And I would say, let's even call the majority 70% or more. I think that's a good range. How many sets do you need? I would say at least 5. Now, some people are like, dude, there's no way anybody's making good gains on 5 sets a week for a muscle. I beg to differ. I think you can make gains on it. You make decent gains. Now, people brought that up and said, well, how do you tell? Well, if you do 5, 6, 7 sets a week for a muscle and they're really hard sets, and at least most of them are on good exercises for the movement. In other words, rows work biceps, but they're probably not the highest quality of exercise. How do we know that? Because studies on rows versus curls, when people did only 6 sets of curls versus 6 sets of rows a week, they gained about 70% of the muscle. It's not super efficient. It still worked, but you know, so let's set that aside. High quality sets. Sets that really work the muscle effectively. So for biceps, it would be some sort of curl, maybe a chin-up. A weighted chin-up could count. Rows, not as much. I still count them towards the volume, though. But they are a little lower quality. You still need some curls or some chin-ups or something in there. Just putting that over as an example of that one muscle, right? You gotta work a muscle through a full range of motion, get it in a lengthened position on some of these sets. All right, you know, 5 to 7 sets a week. Can get the majority of your growth. How do you know it's not working though? People say, well, no, it will work. So if you're not growing from it, you know that you either pushed out and didn't actually train hard on the sets. You know, they were five reps from failure and you did 5 or 6 sets. Okay, that may not cause muscle growth. We're like, well, okay, I'm doing those and I know they're hard and I took a couple of them to failure here or there, so I know I know what close feels like. Okay, you did that. You still didn't get bigger from it over time. No improvement in performance. Performance tells us if we're getting bigger. Okay, you can lift more weight or you can lift the same weight for more reps. You probably got bigger. If you can do it without form breakdown. Probably did. That's a good giveaway. You didn't get any of that. But you know you train hard. Okay, then it comes down to sleep, nutrition. That's it. That's the only other explanations, unless drugs come in the mix. Why does that matter? Because you reduce your drugs. People who aren't on drugs can't reduce their drugs, right? They're at 0. They're at 0. There's nothing less than 0, right? 0 dianabol, you can't subtract any dianabol. Okay? There's nothing to subtract. Okay, unless you dramatically reduce your drug doses. The only possible explanations are your diet and your rest. That's it. That's it. That's your only possible other explanations there. Only reasonable ones. Okay. So, it will work. You'll make some gains. It just won't be maximum gains. It won't be every last drop. It'll still be some gains. But like I said, if you don't have them, then you know you either didn't train hard, your diet and nutrition was off, or your sleep was off. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys next time.